I'm pleased to welcome all to today's webinar on sustainable development goals in early childhood education, integrating SDGs into early childhood education. And we all know that in a world facing unprecedented environmental, social, and economic challenges, the role of education, particularly early childhood, has never been more crucial and critical. The early years of a child's life lay the foundation not just for lifelong learning, but also for shaping responsible, empathetic, and globally aware citizens. Today, we come together as educators, curriculum designers, researchers, storytellers, and advocates to explore how the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals can be meaningfully integrated into early childhood curricula and practices. We aim to understand how young children, even in their earliest years, can begin to engage with values like equity, sustainability, peace, and respect for diversity. This webinar will often offer insights, strategies, and examples of how we can nurture a generation not only who thrives personally but also contributes meaningfully to building more than just inclusive and a sustainable world. Thank you for being here with us today and for your commitment to both early childhood education and sustainable development. We are excited to learn, share, and grow together. And today we have in our midst Smriti Agarwal. Smriti is a passionate early childhood educator since the year 1995 and has been associated with best schools in India in a leadership role. Writing is a love for her, which won her an award from Scholastic India for writing on the School of My Dreams. Ms. Smriti has contributed numerous articles for educational magazines, short stories for anthologies, and value-adding content for early childhood education. She is a pedagogy expert, ECDF West Zone head, teacher trainer, and academic mentor. Welcome, Soma. Welcome to the show, Smriti. We have with us Ms. Archana Madhusudan with over 2 decades of enriching experience in the education sector. Archana has dedicated her career to empowering individuals and transforming learning environments. Her journey has been a dynamic blend of roles, academic leader, corporate trainer, and mentor, allowing her to make a meaningful impact in diverse settings. As a senior academician at Next Education for over 6 years, she has trained over 2,000 teachers, conducted principal workshops, and led parent orientation programs. Welcome, Archana. We have with us Ms. Amrit Nagpal, an enthusiastic and energetic early years expert, consultant, and brain architect with a master's in education from James Cook University. She has been honored with the Innovation in Early Childhood and Child Development by Early Childhood Development Forum and Innovative Leader of the Year by Ek Updesh. She's a storyteller by profession and has performed on various children's storytelling festivals and lit festivals such as Kalakoda and Kathastram. She is also an active member of Early Childhood Development Forum. Welcome, Amrit. And Ashu Kalra is an educator. She's joined us today. And Ashu is an educator who connects well with all stakeholders and ensures to bring up 21st century learners. She has successfully established DPS Varanasi right from its inception and helped develop common culture across the sister branches, DPS Nasik and DPS Nagpur, as Dean of Academy. Serve as the founder principal of Seth Anandaram Jaipuria School, Tarana, Varanasi till April 2020 and succeeded in creating a happy school. Currently, she is an academic consultant and teacher facilitator, member of Early Childhood Development Forum, and she is the brand ambassador India Seeds Asia Japan. Welcome, Ashu. And we have with us Ms. Gagandeep Kaur, who has been in this domain for the past 19 years and has made a lasting impact as a committed and passionate educator. She holds a degree in education and a certified Montessori professional with a strong focus on empowering teachers and guiding parents through early learning journey. Welcome, Gagandeep. So glad to have you all today to discuss this very relevant and very important topic, because the SDGs, they are, if we you work towards those, we will be able to survive. Otherwise, the way we are moving now is difficult. And what best than the early childhood years? So let us start without any more ado. And my first question of this important conversation is for Archana. And Archana, what, according to you, are the SDGs and why are they relevant to early childhood education? And my other part of the question is, how do you explain sustainability or global citizenship to a 5-year-old? Over to you, Archana.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Acharya, for having me on this show again. And yes, thank you for sharing my presentation. I would like to start off with Sustainable Development Goals. So what are these? We have 17 global goals adopted by the UN in the year 2015 to create a better and more sustainable world by 2030. These goals address critical areas like poverty, health, education, gender equality, clean water, and climate action. All of them you can see displayed on the slide out there. And its relevance to ECE. Next slide, ma'am. Early childhood education. Catch them young is what I believe in. When we are involving children in everything right at a very young age, and at a young age we introduce everything to children. Why not SDGs? Why not the Sustainable Development Goals? Now, the SDG 4 specifically, of the 17 goals, the SDG 4 specifically is focused on early childhood education. That is quality education, which aims to ensure inclusive and equitable education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. But ECE also connects with several other SDGs, if we look at. Ma'am, the next slide, please. Yes, so these are the core which are relevant to our ECE. So when I'm referring to these, SDG 4, like I said, quality education. SDG 3 focuses on good health and well-being. That is through education, nutrition, and also emotional care. SDG 5 focuses on gender equality. However advanced we are, however we claim to have, to be more modern, we cannot deny that gender inequality still exists. So SDG 5 focuses on creating a gender-neutral society by encouraging equal opportunities and challenging stereotypes very early in the age. SDG 13 focuses on climate action, especially with the vulnerable ecosystem now. The ecology is in a very delicate stage. Now, by instilling eco-friendly habits and attitudes, this goal can be achieved. SDG 16, that is peace, justice, and strong institutions. Now, through social and emotional learning, empathy, and conflict resolution, these goals can be achieved. Now, why is it early? How do we know that we can teach them to very young children? 5-year-olds, how can they be taught about all of these sustainable developmental goals? Let me stream a small video emphasizing the same. Doctor, can I please give me the access? I hope my screen is visible, Doctor. Ma'am?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Thank you. So I hope that video made it amply clear about how perceptive children are, and SDGs, right from poverty, eradication of poverty, clean water, food, and how empathy can be shown is very, very clearly depicted there. So children from a very young age, empathy, love, affection, these are all inborn in very young children. It is hatred which we adults teach them. So I guess if we are able to inculcate these habits into the children from a very young age, it's going to go a long way in achieving our goals of SDG, or Sustainable Development Goals. Now, ma'am, the next slide. How do we explain sustainability to or global citizenship to a 5-year-old? At age 5, children are concrete learners. We can use storytelling, we can use routines, play, and also visual cues to introduce abstract concepts like sustainability and global citizenship. Now, how can we explain sustainability? Next slide, ma'am. We can ask questions like, do you know why we turn off the tap when brushing our teeth or put our toys back in place? That's because we want to take care of our world just like we take care of our home. When we use just what we need and do not waste, we help keep Earth happy and clean. So other children can use it also one day. Next slide, ma'am. Global citizenship. We can ask something like, you know how we are kind to our friends in classroom, siblings at home? Global citizens are people who are kind and helpful to everyone in the world, even those far away. We care, share, and try to keep everyone safe and happy, not just at school and home, but everywhere. We can actually use activity-based explanations in the classrooms. For example, books like 10 Things I Can Do to Help My World. This is written by Miss Melanie Walsh. Songs and puppet shows about caring for the planet. Simple sorting games with trash and recycling. Circle time conversations using puppets that visit other countries. Ma'am, can we move on to the next slide? We can use visual aids in the classroom. So I've made a table of the theme that you can use, the visual aids that can be used in order to portray this particular theme, and the purpose of using that particular aid. Reduce, reuse, recycle, n number of posters, very hard-hitting posters also sometimes. So simple posters like posters showing 3 bins, waste, recycle, and compost. Children can actually start understanding how to sort waste, not only in the classrooms, but also applied in the home environment. Save energy, as simple as the image of a child turning off a light or a fan. It enforces eco-friendly habits in them. Diverse friends, posters of children from different cultures holding hands, promotes global friendship and empathy. Water is precious. Tap leaking versus tap turned off images. This teaches children about water conservation. These are everyday things that children also observe, not only at home, but also in the classrooms, and will be able to apply it. Peaceful world. This is a complicated concept. World map with doves, smiling children in nature. Now, this introduces global harmony and love for nature. In fact, how can we use storytelling? Ma'am, the next slide. Tara and the magic dustbin. A small story. We can create anything there. Something about Tara learns that each bin is for a different type of waste. And she helps her school garden grow by making compost with fruit peels. That is making best out of the waste. So the SDG link for this is responsible consumption. It is SDG 12 and climate action 13. So both of these goals can be addressed with this story. The value that we are teaching the children is about responsibility and caring for nature. Activity that we can give children, because all of us are aware about the different types of learners. So in order to ensure that every type of learner is able to grasp and implement what we are teaching in the classroom, activity-based for our experiential or kinesthetic learners. Waste sorting games using toys, food, paper, plastic items, any of these. Next slide, ma'am. We can use another sample story like Zuzu visits the world. So Zuzu is a bee and she travels to different countries and sees children speaking different languages, wearing different clothes, but all playing and laughing together. So now this focuses on global partnership, which is SDG 17, and reduce inequality, SDG 10. So not just the few SDGs which I quoted in the beginning, all of the SDGs can be beautifully woven in the form of a story and explained to children. The value of this particular story of Zuzu is helping children understand diversity and friendship. For activity-based, dress a paper doll in outfits from around the world. That would be a fun activity for children. The next story, ma'am, next slide. The Water Fairy's Gift. Talking about SDG 6, that is clean water and sanitation. This is a short story of a villager learns to save water when a fairy shows what happens if rivers run dry. They collect rainwater and plants together. Activity that can be centered around this, create a rainwater harvesting model. Now, every society has rainwater harvesting pits. So not necessary that a child understands all of the technicalities involved. Just use bowls and drops of water to indicate how water harvesting can be done. And the value that we are teaching children, gratitude and protection. Next slide, ma'am. So I have made a chart of classroom activities aligned with SDGs. Name of the activity, description, and what goal does it focus on? Like plant a seed, each child plants and cares for a small seed, and it teaches about the SDG 15. So I am not going to run you through each of these, but it's very simple. And we can create activities, have a proper description of how and why this is going to be useful for the child with focus on these individual SDGs. And ultimately, songs and rhymes. Ma'am, the next slide. Be kind to the earth. Children love music. They relate easily to music. Maybe a simple poem like, be kind, twinkle, be kind to earth, our home so dear. Keep it clean and bring it cheer. Turn off lights and save each drop. Pick up litter, do not stop. Plant a tree and let it grow. Help the earth to shine and glow. That's it. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having given me an opportunity to focus on ECC and how SDGs can be taught at a very young age. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Archana. Very beautifully explained and a lot of examples that you've shared. I would like to share about a campaign that we are doing in our centers where we are teaching them the 3 hours. And I've seen, parents coming and telling us that the child was, he did not want to use a plastic packet which was given in the shop. And so these messages actually go out early on, and children are able to grasp. It's not that they don't understand. The video that you had shown, this these kind of ways in which we can build empathy, compassion. The SDGs actually are so related to each other, and everything is about the humanitarian feeling. So it all boils down to empathy, compassion, love for each other, and how we can preserve. So very beautifully explained. Thank you so much. And taking your cues, my question to Smriti is a little towards what you have explained, but she'll do it a little more. Smriti, how can we integrate SDG related themes, now coming to that, climate action, gender equality, good health, into early childhood curricula? And another part of the question that I want to ask you is, what are some age appropriate teaching strategies for introducing sustainability concepts to young learners? Over to you, Smriti.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vasili, for having me and for the question. It was wonderful listening to Ms. Archana explaining the SDGs in early childhood education sector. Now, from my turn, I will be taking you through all the 17 SDGs, in fact, and how early childhood education, not only in the classroom strategies, not only for teaching children, but as a community of early childhood educators and education sector as a whole, how can we contribute so much to the SDGs that we often neglect? Because probably most of the world also neglects, because thinking that, oh, they're early childhood educators, or these are early childhood the children, you know what, 2 to 6 years old, what would they do? How would they contribute? And sometimes, we start believing that ourselves, yeah, we have very small children. It is something that we can start at probably at the middle school level where they will understand better. But like right now, Ms. Archana showed that, it can start very early in life. I always believe that everything starts very early in life. And early childhood educators, we know that the entire brain building exercise, entire habit forming, and skills and competency forming habits are just now developing in the early childhood years. So when we are forming habits at the moment, if we are forming habits for which moves towards the SDG goals, is much better. And also as a community of parents, community and schools which have early childhood education as an important and pertinent point, a part of their society, how can we all contribute towards it? So I'll be sharing my PPT. Of course, I'm known to exceed my time, but at this time I have timed myself. Dr. Vasvi is always scared of the fact that once I take Smriti and it will go on and on. And the moment I said I'll take all 17 instead of her question of 3 SDGs, um, it came out to be, oh, I don't know. But I've timed myself, yeah, sure. Okay, so 17 I will take, but I'll take it very shortly. This can actually take a complete 3 hours workshop, but right now we are going to lean only on the some facts. Now, zero poverty or no poverty. When we're talking about poverty, we have to believe and understand in the fact when we are talking about most of the children, young children have to be in schools. They have to be in, as in India, we have the Anganwadis or Balwadis. Until and education is the key to, removing poverty. How are those people going to contribute towards the society, towards economic growth? How will a nation prosper? Like Maria Montessori said way back, that it is not the university years, it is the early years that the nation should be actually focusing on, because it begins from there. So the stronger the foundation of children and the tomorrow's citizens, the better it would be for the entire world, right? And for the nation. So first and foremost is the education, and it should start in the early years. So that's one thing. A beautiful video shown by Ms. Archana about compassion and how children can be taught about poverty in various forms, like donating or visiting these places for their birthdays, from school, for the joy of giving in Christmas, just understanding what it is for the society where people would not have as much as they do. Currently, the children are extremely privileged, and we are looking into a society where the parents fulfill each and every demand of the child before the child even says it. Let's raise children where they can understand the importance and the value of all that we're giving them. Zero hunger. Now, right from the early years, I would suggest that people should know how to grow food. Like what you see in the other countries is happening right now. The schools have kitchen gardens. The children are not only taking germination as an activity, they are actually going out there and growing food. So when we're talking about zero hunger, the main thing is all the from the agriculture, from being a nation of agriculture in India, everybody is moving towards the towns, everybody is moving towards the cities, everybody is selling agricultural lands and becoming, they're making malls there. So instead of that, the moment we go back to our roots and we understand how what growing food is all about, and how difficult it is for the food to reach to the table, and let's not waste food. Things like that can be easily taught in the early years as well. So the moment we start doing that in the early years, we will attain our SDG 2 by the children are even 7, 8 years old. They would not be wasting food. They would know how to actually grow food. So that was one thing. Good health and well-being. Ms. Archana spoke about it. I'm not going to speak too much about it, but of course, good health would begin from the early years. In fact, it would start before the early years. It would start from the mother. Good health would start when the child, when a woman is actually expecting, And before that, what is her health? What are the, the circumstances? What are the environment? What are the nutrition we are giving to the mother for the delivery, for the child, postnatal care, understanding, educating women. And then, what is malnutrition all about? How can we help there? And what is the, are we in school? Are we, giving children water breaks? Because small children don't drink water too much. They just take one sip of water at one time. So there should be regular water breaks. Are we looking into good nutrition? Are we teaching them about the junk food and health food? Do we have vaccination camps in our schools? Are we taking good care of a doctor visiting them, an ophthalmologist visiting them, a dentist visiting the school in the entire year? Can't we have all of this so that the school is also taking care of the health of the children in, participating as a stakeholder? Now, well-being is not only physical well-being, it deals a lot with the safety and security of the children, emotional well-being, mental well-being, as well as the social well-being. So, well-being is a very big word, but we usually take it into stride, and it happens with us also. So, the moment anybody would ask you, "How are you?" and you will say, "We are fine." So, we're taking care of the well-being. If they, we asked and they said they're fine. It's not just that, it goes much deeper. So we'll have to take care of that right from the very beginning in our classrooms with our teachers. Are we looking after our teachers' well-being, their emotional, mental, and physical well-being? Are they looking after children's well-being? And are we educating the parents enough on this matter? Right. So these are a few things that obviously the schools can do and teach the children and teach the parents as well. Are the parents taking their children outdoors? Are they saying no to junk food? How much processed food is in the kitchen? So all of these things will contribute to the health and well-being of the children and the future generation so that they can look after themselves and further on pass on these messages. Quality education, of course, a lot to talk about that. And NEP 2020 is talking about it, about quality education, about equity in education. So in India, we already have our guidelines. We have our NCF curriculum framework for 2022. We're talking about shared resources. We are talking about inclusivity in all aspects, whether it's cultural, it's community, it's like differently abled. If inclusivity is not just one term. It's like it's a large term which involves entire community, and a lot of efforts have to be put in. Teaching resources, trained teachers, good infrastructure, sanitized infrastructure. So many things will go into quality education, and again, starts right from the early childhood years. Uh, Quality education in early years, right now, the world is moving towards this, and there's so much about it more that these pedagogies can be adopted for quality education and understanding. Nature, happiness, peace, these are the pedagogies we need to develop. We have to move away from rote learning so that children understand these topics rather than just rote learning their numbers and their letters of the alphabet. Gender equality, we begin it at our home. We begin about boys don't cry, don't be a girl, don't be sissy, the pinks and the blues. In these classes, we are teaching them about community helpers, professions, and the people who help us. But why is the pilot or doctor always male? Why is only the air hostess and nurse only the female? Why is mummy cooking and papa reading a newspaper or going to the office? Toys, we make it for girls, for boys. So all these things, who's doing that? Children are not doing that specifically. These are all the things that we adults are doing it. We are putting it in their minds about all of this. They're growing up with all. Right now, we need to break these molds so that they understand that it's okay to be a girl or a boy or any other gender for that matter. The world is opening up to a lot many. So you will have to think about that from that perspective. How will we get to that perspective is from the early years. Clean water and sanitization, all the schools must take care of it. All the parents must take care of it. All the communities must take care of it. What kind of sanitization are we expecting when we are going towards to the market? If the children are going somewhere, clean toilets are there. Are they available in your country, in your community, in your surroundings? Are the surroundings clean? How much of the waste is dumped all over? Let's look into all of that. Let's start teaching our children about all of this, not to throw. And like what Ms. Madhusudan already talked about, so I'm not going to emphasize on that. Different dustbins, different kind of waste management, water conservation, electricity conservation, teaching the children about solar energy, teaching the children about SDG 7, about affordable and clean energy. How can that be? Reduced carbon footprint, shared conveyances, switch off the TV when you're not using it. How can you first conserve it, then use it properly, and go towards a cleaner world? Decent work and economic growth should also start from early childhood education centers and schools. When we do give decent work environment to the teachers, are we doing that? Are we expecting more and more women to step out of the house and take care of the world around them? More helpers, more schools means, of course, more and more work opportunities, more and more economic growth. Educated children would lead to an educated nation and to an educated world, of course. Now, there was recently a curriculum complete document that I was reading from Pennsylvania. Now, there they had some learning outcomes, and the learning outcomes for early childhood education was dealing with the headers were civics, history, law, infrastructure, economics. So I was quite curious to know that how early childhood education can go into these kind of learning outcomes with their 2 to 6 years old. So the thing is, when you're talking about infrastructure, when you're talking about industry, when we're talking about these things, let's give them building blocks, show them the windows of your school, show them the infrastructure of their own school, not only their classroom, but let them take them out, go around the entire building and see how many doors, windows, what kind of blueprint do they have. So these kind of things, right from the beginning, if you try out, children get a mindset, the logical thinking mind, the brain starts seeing architecture, they start seeing infrastructure, they start seeing innovation and industrialization. So these are the things that we have to do. Reduce inequalities will again start with your classrooms. Do you have a diverse, an inclusivity and diversity throughout, like I had mentioned earlier? So how are you going to have more and more opportunities to reduce inequalities in the community and society overall if it doesn't start with your classrooms? Right? Sustainable cities and communities, of course, again, depends a lot on what habits are we developing. Are we developing habits towards this? Are the children aware of it? Are the parents aware of it? And are we following it as role models? If we are not, let's not expect our future generations to do it, because they are learning through imitation and through observation. So if they are not observing that we are doing this and following up a habit and lifestyle which are leading towards sustainability, children would definitely not be able to imbibe it in their own lifestyles. So that's what. Responsible consumption and production, the basic difference, have an inquiry classroom about needs and wants. What are needs? What are wants? The children should have to have an understanding as they grow up to be adolescents, preteens, and tweens. They should understand what are needs and what are wants. Wants can be many, but are they necessary? And then we can show them something like this. I'm not playing this video right now, but there is for the Earth Day. These are all on YouTube. You can see it everywhere. How you can tell them? You can show it through these very simple animated videos of reduce and recycle in your classrooms. So the simple strategies, what I have been talking about right now, you can all implement it in your curricula, in your classrooms for every grade, and make it into a progressive thing. Like it's an activity. So, it's like an EVS activity for you, for everyone, for all of us. Climate action, of course, uh, growing trees, biodegradable resources, and saying no to plastic. Like, right, Dr. Vasvi just said that the moment you start with this kind of an initiative, children learn, they tell their parents. And of course, the community grows. Life below water, life on land, SDG 14, 15. The moment we make the children understand about a shared planet concept, we do these themes, animals, birds, insects, plants. We do these themes in our schools and in our classrooms. But we talk about the animals and segregate them into farm animals and wild animals. But are we talking to them about a shared planet concept? Are we talking to about the pollution, about the conservation of the environment? So these are the things that we really do need to look into. Peace, justice, and then, of course, I can tell you that if we start in your classrooms with conflict resolution, we teach the children about routines, about discipline, about how we respect rules. And it's the same thing if you do the Constitution Day of India in your school right now and you tell them about the Constitution, it has laid down certain rights, but certain responsibilities and certain rules. It can be there. You can teach them about honesty and fair play. These mindsets and these habits are going to be the longer carriers for your peace, justice, and a very strong institution. Partnership and goals, the last one, of course, classroom activities divided into large groups, small group activities, collaboration and cooperation is required in some activities. Their social and emotional intelligence is taken care of, and they learn about flexibility and adaptation to deal with the unprecedented VUCA world which they are living in and which is coming forward. This is a great video. I don't know who's prepared this, but this is on YouTube. Sustainability for Kid. It's damn good because it has an eco man and it has a evil who's a dump man. So you can show something like these and these stories to the children and these kind of videos as a special day event, and you would be good sorted. So all these are the strategies from my side, all the 17 goals covered, and we as early childhood educators and an early childhood community need to take some very, very firm and some very, very, you know, thoughtful, mindful steps towards SDGs. Thank you, Doctor. I hope I didn't exceed my time. I
Thank
put
you
in an
so much.
alarm.
Lovely, and all the goals explained so wonderfully, Archana and now Smriti, because we need to understand the various aspects and various ways in which we can, make these goals get inculcated into the child's mind through various activities, and some which were elaborated by Archana, some touched upon by Smriti, and very beautifully all 17 goals explained. But the core of all of it are the teachers, the educators. Now, Smriti talked about role modeling. If we are not the right role models, how will we, even though we all know about the 17 goals, we know what they are, what they stand for, and everything. But are we role modeling the right kind of approach? So, my question to Amrit is what skills or training do educators need to implement SDG aligned teaching effectively? And my second question to you is how can teacher education programs incorporate SDG based content and values? Over to you.
Yeah, well, thank you for the question. And I must say that, Miss Archana and Miss Smriti, you've quite nailed a lot of pointers. And yes, there is a lot that's going on in schools for sure. There is still a lot that we can do. And we could still have a very bright thought for what SGD goals have put up for us in the near future. So I certainly believe that, if we really want to implement the SGD aligned teaching in our curriculum, in our schools, we must first have educators have a mix of knowledge, skills, and values that not only align the global priorities that SGD has spoken about, but also understand local realities. That's very important because we live in a country where we not only have different terrain, we have different casteism, we have a lot of social economic disparities in our country. And when we talk about ECE, we have to cater to every sect. In our country, every direction works very differently. We've got the urban population where there are a lot of, like Ms. Priti said, there are a lot of opportunities for young children because parents are ready to give those opportunities. But then there is also a rural side of India where opportunities are not there. And if you really want to bring everybody closer to a similar platform and to cater to SGDs, because that is one of the goals of SGDs, right? We want to eliminate these disparities. We want more gender equalities for people. We want, we don't want these disparities anymore, like even with socioeconomic disparities. So I feel that number one, what we should do is first, all our educators, irrespective of whichever urban population you cater to or the rural population, it is a must that we have a very thorough understanding of what the SGTs are. Like I said, at a global level, for sure, you need to have a deeper understanding. And just echoing what Miss Archana and Miss Smriti said, because you all have explained everything very, very clearly and very minutely with examples, so which has made it very easier for the audience to understand. And also what we really need to understand is that we cannot miss out the local relevance. In our country, there are different kinds of local relevance. Like I said, we come from different areas, and we have a different population that we cater to. So it's important that teachers understand the need for understanding SGDs at a global level, and then understand the need on how to make it more relevant to the Indian context. And within the Indian context, to the urban population, to the rural population, it is very important. Yes, most schools are working on things like eco-friendly practices. There are plenty of activities that are going on in various schools. But again, what about the Anganwadis, Balwadis? We still have to ensure that these practices go there too, right? We still need to ensure that SGDs have been implemented very well in those areas too. Though there are plenty of NGOs in our country who have taken the onus of working in tribal areas and rural areas to bridge that kind of gap. Even in Maharashtra, what I know is that there are schools who have been working under Swachh Bharat, Swachh Vidyalaya kind of initiatives, where they have focused on SGD Goal 6, where we are talking about clean water and sanitization and improvising basic toilet infrastructures and promoting hygiene awareness to students through campaigns and things like that. I also believe that educators need to have pedagogical skills. When I mean that we need to be sure that when we're talking about SGD goals, we're talking more of experiential learning. We're talking about more transformation. We are including more methods like being participative, being interactive with our children in our classrooms. Like again, just echoing again what Ms. Archana and Ms. Smriti mentioned, we need to have more project-based learning in our classrooms, which need to have storytelling, because that's the best way that young children learn. I feel stories are an extremely powerful tool to bring across things that you want to say. And, like Ms. Smriti mentioned that, you could have a eco man who has a superpower, and probably videos like that and stories like that will help children to understand these concepts in a better way. We need to have teachers who focus more on community engagements. More than teachers, schools need to focus on community engagements. They need to take initiatives to build community. Again, all these things could be done through playway method, through inquiry-based method. And if you've been very updated, there has been a very recent news last week that CBSE schools have now allowed or are now rooting for affirmations in classrooms for young children, and I find that as a very wonderful way to include SEL skills in our curriculum. So again, teachers could work on something like that. And I know for a fact that the Delhi school government has been including happiness curriculum in their schools to promote SEL learning, where they focus on empathy, mindfulness, which aligns again with SGD goals for education and global citizenship. So these are some things that we can do as educators. We can include them largely in our training setups, because most of people who are here are also trainers. We are largely talking to teachers day in and day out. We are working with schools day in, day out, again, with schools from whichever strata that they come from. But there is a lot of good work going on, and there's still a lot of work that we need to do. Even when we talk about that, teachers also need to focus on inclusive education. I feel that's very important, and value-based learning. I'm not saying that that's not going on in certain schools. It is going on, but the depth still needs to come. Now, why we need to do that? Because again, we need to focus on gender equality. We need to focus on economic disparities that still are very persistent in our country. I know for a fact that there are a couple of NGOs like Pratham who work extensively in tribal districts of Odisha and Jharkhand, where they work on these systems, where they want to educate teachers and students to honor their indigenous wisdom, and through that they do a lot of SGD goals too. Also, when we talk about teacher training, before we as trainers come and meet a lot of educators, a lot of teacher training programs are very common in our country, whether it is the early childhood education programs that are run through various institutions. I feel sustainability as a subject or a module should be included, and it's high time that we do that. I did my master's about 18 years ago, and I did sustainability as a module in my master's. But I still feel that that is a missing component in our teacher training programs right now in our country. We just do a workshop and probably leave it, and probably we don't even do a workshop. We leave it that, then they become in-service teachers. They will know. उनको तो सब सिखा दिया जाएगा. उनके सर पे डंडा पड़ेगा. They'll have to do it. But that's not it. It is our job when we plan our ECC programs. Sustainability should be included as a part of modules. In our ECC programs. Why ECC programs? Why not B.Ed and D.Ed programs too? Though there have been changes in textbooks for young children. CBSE has again made a lot of changes in terms of NCERT textbooks, SCERT textbook, and sustainable goals have been started doing with children through various integration of various subjects like science, literacy, and math. But what about those in-service and pre-service teachers? They have no clue about sustainability. Environmental studies as a topic has been again supported by CBSE. But again, when it comes to ECC, there is a gap over there. And that gap we as educators who are working as trainers, who are working with these programs, need to fill in these gaps with either the NGOs that we work with or either the schools that we work with. And, we need to be very upfront and say, are you doing sustainability with your teachers in your schools? Because this is the right time. Schools have just started. They're on a summer break now. They will again reopen, some in June, some in July. It is the right time to talk about sustainability. It's the right time to talk about sustainability through stories, through rhyme time, through music and movement, because we kind of miss on this important component. And through that only we can encourage teachers to do experiential community-based learning, because without that, we'll not be able to do that. So I'm not again going too much in depth of SGD goals, because I really wanted to focus on these important pointers about teacher training, because I feel this is important. And I feel the other pointers have already been echoed again and again by Ms. Archana and Ms. Smriti, and they were point on with these topics. I feel another thing that's largely missing is when we talk about SGDs, we really don't encourage teachers to do assessments with young children, right? We've done it. We take nice videos, we upload nice pictures on all our social media platforms. But what about assessment? Have we assessed that whether our children have got to have an understanding of what SGD goals are, irrespective of the age group that we work with? It is, I feel, very important that we include competencies in our assessments, such as critical thinking, collaboration, and ethical decision making, by asking questions to children. Even post stories, a lot of stories, we ask questions to children. Let's focus on ethical decision making. Ask young children or post them situations that what would they do in a particular situation like this, if they encounter something like that, and use it as a component for assessment in our schools. If you're doing a portfolio in schools, put it as pictures, images, videos, and use it as a rubric, so that parents are also aware that we are talking about sustainability. And it just does not go as like, okay, as a checklist tick topic done in our curriculum. Let's dive deeper into it and focus more on assessments too. So just to conclude, and I feel that, as schools, we do a lot. As teachers, we are doing a lot, but it also needs to be documented somewhere. Not documented as pictures, or not just documented as things like, okay, like a checklist that it's done. Yeah, we're doing it. All schools are doing it. We are also doing it. No, it shouldn't be done like that. It should have a proper assessment. It should have a follow-up activity. It should have an understanding whether the teachers have been able to bring through concepts that our SGD goals are trying to promote. Our young children understanding that. So all I want to tell in my conclusion is that teachers not only need the tools and have an understanding about SGDs, let's have a mindset that works on SGDs, because then only by 2030 we'll be able to achieve it within our system, when we have a very open-ended mindset about it. And I feel that is very important, that as teacher trainers, as education leaders, we promote the mindset towards SGDs. And lastly, APJ Abdul Kalam mentioned that, teachers are the very backbone of any country. And we have that kind of responsibility to take it to teachers because we are that bridge between the school and the teacher. And we have those opportunities within us. So let's take it through teachers to teachers, and let's see a very fruitful, successful SGD implementation in our schools within the next few years, because we still have a very small period of time left to ensure that SGDs are fulfilled very well in our curriculums, in our school systems. So thank you so much, Ms. Vasavi, and over to you.
Thank you, Amrit. And yeah, I think all the points are that you've talked about makes a lot of sense because the knowledge has to be inculcated within. It cannot be something like checklists and tick marks and just doing some activity and you know being happy that we are doing those activities, but it should actually imbibe in the child so that they feel at every moment. It should be a part of their lives, not as an activity per se, which is done at a specific period of time. So yeah, very beautifully explained, and also the rural and the contextual, the contractual use relation of these SDGs according to your places, and how the teachers need to have a mindset which is more aligned to it, and not just as a course material or something which is introduced, but something which is done from the heart. We need a heart to heart learning of this. And moving on from the educators, let us go to Gagandeep Kaur, who I would ask Gagandeep, how can schools and educators engage families? Now we have heard beautiful about the SDG goals, and also about these all 17 in detail, and the educators' role. Now, how can we engage families and communities in promoting these values in everyday life, which I'm talking about? It should be a daily practice, not a one-time thing. So, what roles do parents play in enforcing SDG-related learning outside the class? Over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, good evening, everyone. It's actually such a pleasure to be here among such inspiring speakers. Archana ma'am, Smriti ma'am, Amrit ma'am. I think all the points have been beautifully covered. I've learned so much. So I've truly enjoyed the insights shared so far, and I think the clarity and this entire purpose is me now after 19 years. Also, if I say that every step is a learning step, so I've learned so much from all the three speakers, so thank you so much. So, and I'm really honored that I've been given a topic which is very close to my heart. If I talk about parents, getting close to the parents and inviting parents, and making sure that this community, only educators and the school, it's not the school's responsibility or only educators responsibility, but a lot depends on the parents also. So this first quote that you can see on screen, that change begins with each one of us. So I strongly believe that in SDGs, it means teaching young children that their small actions matter. So through simple habits like sharing, caring for nature, or saving water, or being kind, children learn that they make a difference. By modeling these behaviors even at home, right, educators and families show children that everyone has a role in creating a better, fairer, and more sustainable world, starting with their own choices that they make each day. Going on to my next slide, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so now building partnerships with families and communities to promote SDG values in in ECE. So my first thing is that it has to be an open communication. So that open, consistent, and respectful communication that builds trust between educators and families. So this creates a strong foundation for collaboration on SDG goals. So definitely the schools can create a lot of platforms, like they can have their newsletters. PTMs can be a major area where teachers can talk about this, and there could be some school apps, because nowadays it's a digital world, so we can have even digital portfolios. So regularly sharing our initiatives, what we are taking in school, tips for sustainable living and SDG related resources. So we in school, I'm working with Lotus Valley International School, so we have a lot very strong parent teacher meet time when we have that time and we share very practical tips on how to promote sustainability at home. So talking to parents about sharing simple practical tips on eco-friendly habits, parents can reinforce at home. So celebrate, we always tell our parents that you can celebrate, you can have your family contributions like photo of a child, maybe recycling or gardening, and you can send it to the school and we can have class displays in school so that the other children are also encouraged. Then we have community projects, like we are attached with an NGO and we invite people from NGO to school and talk about how they help the environment or people. And we organize community cleanup days, tree planting events, which starts from nursery only, doesn't start from grade 1 or grade 2, or suddenly we ask a grade 5 child to do it. So it starts from grade nursery only. Or recycling drives that involve both the student and their families. Some hands-on collective initiatives which are meaningful learning experiences and build a sense of shared responsibility for the environment and community. So, for example, like family tree planting days, community cleanup drives, or toy swaps, or some sustainable fairs. Local food donation, like we have support staff with us, and children from nursery are only encouraged to do that donation, or compositing some programs. So some workshops and trainings, hosting sustainability workshops for the parents on energy conservation or sustainable food practices or any waste reduction, which are aligned with SDG 12 and 13. So topics which include SDGs for little ones, make it little more child friendly. We believe in making some DIY recycled crafts also, some eco toys also, and definitely all the ma'ams have already mentioned about storytelling. So a lot of focus on storytelling for sustainability, a lot of focus on nutrition and reducing food wastage as well. Moving on to my next slide. So integrating SDG themes into family engagement. So there could be certain home assignments with purpose that we can talk about, complete simple sustainability projects like tracking the water usage at home, starting a home garden, or conducting a water waste audit also. So I think there's a lot of crucial role of parents doing this at home. So we design simple home tasks where we ask sorting recyclables or saving water to connect SDG concepts with our daily routines and making learning more relevant and practical. If I talk about encouraging critical thinking, so I really strongly believe discussing environmental and social issues at home, encouraging children to think about their role in the world and how children are aligned with the SDGs. So creating a little more supportive environment. Parents, families can support school initiatives by reinforcing messages about equality, about climate responsibility, health, and civic participation. Uh, let's have a little more open-ended questions, like why do we plant trees? Talking to a nursery or grade KG child only, what happens to trash? Or maybe you can a little more spark, you can create a little more curiosity and help children to think deeply about their environment. Then creating a supportive environment by involving families in eco projects and celebrating small efforts. We always create a nurturing space where children feel more empowered to care for their world. So to build, I think, a strong and confident community where each family feels included in the journey towards sustainability. Moving on to my next slide. So parents talk about SDGs at home. So I think that's very important. I already ma'ams have spoken about the gender equality. So not saying that, okay, a girl has to do this only or the boy has to do this only. So the girl can be a pilot or a girl can be an engineer. And no matter if it's a girl or a boy, anyone can help at home. So we have to avoid saying this is for boys or this is for girls. So don't say things like only boys can take out the trash, or maybe only girls can fold the clothes. So we all help each other. So certainly doing some kind of equal roles, reading books to them, or and also we have been saying this thing in our school also, that a boy can be a nurse or a teacher also. It's not only a female has to be a nurse. So sharing equal chores at home, this is a regular practice that we have been doing during the parent teacher meetings. So clean water and sanitation. So we believe in teaching us like about how saving water, what kind of habits you can have, right? Like short showers or maybe turn off the taps, use a cup when washing. So teach them to rinse their mouth using a cup of water. So we need to explain from where the water comes and how this water is cleaned and delivered to our home. So zero hunger, I think it's a very powerful statement, and also how effectively we can teach our children with so many live examples. So for birthdays, I always, whenever children come to me with the sweets, and like I always say that, how are you celebrating your birthday? So generally the answer is that we will have a party or something now. But when we talk about like more toward kind towards people, kind towards animals, so children have started talking about, okay, we will give food to like the poor, or maybe we will go to some shelter. So that change has started coming now. So teach children again not to waste food. Again, teach them what's in their plate, they have to finish it first, and maybe they can store the leftovers safely and eat them later if that is possible. We can have some gratitude practices at home, that at meal times take turns saying one thing you are thankful for, especially that your food that you are getting. Maybe you can have a mini talk or read stories about food and all, and not explaining, generally not focusing on, okay, getting a cake or full meals on their birthdays. And then encouraging the community participation. So local cleanup drives or planting, which I've already spoken about. So there is a lot of role that the school plays, that teaching the students about a clean, green environment, which supports the physical and even the mental health through stories. So setting up some eco clubs, like we have certain eco clubs in the school where children are asked to get the like best some waste things which we can recreate and they can use it nicely. Role of parents, it's very important, like providing some healthy lifestyles, right? If it is a summer break, that doesn't mean that they don't have any routines. In our holiday homework, we have very specifically categorically worked on the routines, like this is going to the routine. In fact, the child should get up at the same time, so that once they join back, they don't trouble us again. So teaching them basically basic hygiene practices like washing hands or maybe dental care and personal cleanliness. Definitely during this time, limiting their screen time. So set boundaries for screen time and encourage active, creative, and social play. Promoting activities that support physical and mental growth. We can also invite certain guest speakers, bringing in the environmental health workers or community volunteers to talk about their work and why it matters. So they can children can also, we can also talk about the donation of books, the old books or the new ones. If they have toys which they don't use and clothes which they don't use, we can do some kind of donation, which is a very strong SDG, which is no poverty. So end poverty in all its forms everywhere. I guess one powerful way to achieve through is volunteering and donating essential items to those who are in need of toys and books, or maybe setting up a
I
donation
think
box.
we have to go a little faster as we are
Yes,
exceeding the
that's
time.
it, ma'am. That's it. The last, I was just at the last only. So when schools, they teach sustainability, they plant the seed of change. But when families nurture those seeds at home, a greener, fairer world begins to grow. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Beautifully explained, and the activities well shared. So let's move on to the last speaker of today's webinar, Ms. Ashu. My question to you is, can you share examples of play-based inquiry or play-based learning activities? So our previous speakers have already shared a lot of examples to create and promote sustainability awareness. But what are your takes on it? Be it storytelling or art or nature-based ways, and which through which we can enable SDG learning happen for the children.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Vasavi. A very good evening to one and all. And, every speaker has beautifully elaborated upon all the points. Now, I would just like to ponder one area that maybe I can talk about now at this juncture is how to take this forward to the classrooms in terms of pedagogy, in terms of what we know, but how to do it. And we're talking of early years, those toddlers, 3 to 5, 6-year-old children. So let's take it in the context of Bloom's. Having understood, now making children analyze and apply is where I feel lies the beauty of it all. Once they learn to hear something, they learn to analyze and they can apply, then the learning has happened for life. Let me begin with a story. Since we've been talking about storytelling, it's all about the skill. A little turtle was swimming in the sea. It saw a packet of chips floating on the surface. "What is it doing here?" said the turtle. It pushed the wrapper back to the shore. Some children saw it and realized, "From now onwards, we will throw the trash in the bin." The turtle smiled and swam back into the water. So small stories like this, making it bilingual, using both the languages. What happens? We ask the children, "What did you understand?" Because once they start analyzing very short text stories, they become really impactful and they make it a point to bring it as practice. Let me take up another. Now, this one dealt with life below water, SDG 14. Let's do another very short and quick stories, because such short stories do real wonders in the classroom. When we are doing storytelling, we use a lot of puppets. We can use hand puppets. We can use finger puppets. We can even do shadow puppetry, because storytelling means it is all about expression. A child learns to express. एना को सब कुछ अपनी प्लेट में डालना पसंद था। वो प्लेट भर लेती, बट आधे से ज्यादा खाना छोड़ देती। एक दिन उसकी मम्मी ने कहा, "कोई और भूखा रह गया हो सकता है एना।" अब एना को जितना खाना होता है, वो प्लेट में उतना ही लेती है। Now we are talking of two sustainable development goals here, goal number 2, zero hunger, and a part of SDG 12, which is responsible consumption. Because when we talk of early years, one of the ma'ams mentioned also, it's all about forming early habits, which is really, really important, the formation of early habits. This is the age where children are receptive. They understand and they learn to build an empathy and understanding towards the environment, towards life. And we can, that's if we give them the base there, it goes on, and then there's nothing like looking behind by the children. So there are very many things that can be taken into the classroom, and it's how we have to do. That's where the teacher needs to be trained. I think this training is basically, missing by and large. Like ocean cleanup, we could have classroom activities like clean up sensory bins. Let them work in circles or sit in small groups. Let there be a large tub with water in it and some toy sea animals, some trash. Let them use forceps and let them use some tongs. Let them segregate, remove the trash from that so-called ocean. The turn off light game, SDG 7, clean energy. It can again be done as a game, in the form of a game. Let's play a game. Let's stand in a circle, play music. I'm all relating it now to, the age group that we are talking, because we can do a lot of activities related to the sustainable development goals. I'll come to the presentation, ma'am. So, but then playing music, let's walk, run around. Just stop the music for a while, ask them to pretend as if they are switching off the lights. There could also be another activity, My Happy Plate, where you ask them to paste food that they like to eat, not just what they like, also the quantity. What happens? We are reinforcing all these things into their mind, and once it gets set, and it's all picture memories. Picture, the visual memory is always very sharp and stays forever. So with those little children, we need to do such kind of activities, maybe community lunches. Also, while I was listening to everybody, what came to my mind, we could even have an annual function on the theme of SDGs. Or why not an SDG catwalk? Children of this age love doing this. So such kind of activities, when brought into practice, we are making them learn through various activities. It is not coming as a burden to them. It's coming in a very joyful manner, but every activity has a purpose. Ma'am, may I request you to please play the very few slides. The second slide. So it's all about story starters. If we move to the next slide, that's just an example. It's not showing. May I try?
It's not actually moving somehow.
Oh, let me try. Let me try for a moment. If you could stop sharing, ma'am, I'll try. Yeah, can you see it? All right. So if we see, this is a puppet play. Again, another example. Now the theme could be the forest speaks. What we talk about climate action. We talk about life on land. Children these days are very sensitive and they're realizing the kind of change in the weather. It becomes, rain. I mean, no rains. It's so warm, very hot, very cold. We are experiencing extreme temperatures throughout the year. So this is the time where parents, where teachers, we can make them understand what has led to this. And not just planting a tree, I believe as educators, we need to even train them how much, water and how much sunlight does a plant need. Not every plant needs the same amount of sunlight, the same amount of water. There are indoor plants, there are outdoor plants. So when we take that learning beyond, it stays with them. So themes that we cover are deforestation, conservation, and harmony. And they understand the consequences of human actions and their impact on life on land. How do we understand? Somebody spoke about assessments beautifully. It's very important to assess whether learning is happening or not. Children are these days much glued to, they shouldn't be though, but they can very well, manage and use mobile phones and they know what emojis or emoticons are. How about we give them some sheets like this where there are visuals and the child has to draw an emoji. Will the cow feel happy here? How would the cow feel here? So when drawing that emoji, it's a fun activity for the child, but a teacher can gauge the understanding that the child has understood and is able to apply. Let's move to just one more slide. Clean water and sanitation. So save water superheroes. They have seen so many superheroes. They are glued to television, so many series. So why not make that connect? Ask them to be a water superhero. They can wear those capes and ask them to get any cloth from home, wear it as a cape, be the save water superhero, and fix the leakage. While at home, they can do that. Leaking pipes, leaking taps, close the taps. In school also, if they find it anywhere, they do it. So practicing such simple ways to conserve clean water also is a step towards achieving sustainable development goals. Then an activity, share your snack circle, or maybe a community lunch, or songs and dance. Because when we talk of early years, there's a lot of scope of dance and movement. When they learn through songs, when they dance, they again learn better. So we could have healthy habits songs and dance. We could have yoga classes also when we talk of good health and well-being. So for such small children, we cannot expect them to do yoga, but then we can begin with deep breathing exercises. Reading circle and diverse stories, of course, and trash sorting game. I know all this is now coming in as repetition because everybody has, shared much in detail. So these are little things as teachers, basically, I feel we need to work on how we have to take it across to the classroom so that it comes in a very in a joyful manner and not, just as mentioning, saying, speaking, because those children learn and enjoy anything when they do it hands-on. So thank you so much, Dr. Vasavi. And it was a pleasure listening to each of the panelists today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we've covered a lot, and you may stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so some of these ideas that we shared today were incredible. And Ashu also came up with some very interesting ideas because children love to become heroes. And when they're the heroes of the right cause, nothing like it. And that would, I think, encourage them to do even better things, as and when they grow, as they're growing in the thing. So she gave some wonderful ideas in the stories, the two short stories, which are very short, but they carry a whole lot of message, and these kind of tools, Gagandeep also shared many of her school practices where children are doing. Amrit had talked about the educators, parents, practices that we need to do, which Gagandeep said, because as parents, most of the time we are not, role model. Sorry about that. I have my pet here. I always have him with me. So he just barked because somebody came to the office. We are passing the office time. Anyway, so yeah. So we have to be the right role models in that case. And so, how about you? So we have to be the right role models in that case. And as parents, we need to be, really, really responsible. Archana shared a lot. And before we wind up for today, I would like to share the ECDF next event that we are coming up, which is our, again, related to sustainability, because we are going to the most coveted and most, I would call it a world model school, the Green School of Bali, where we are going to see sustainability practices, how children are learning sustainability, using it in their day-to-day life. And this is coming up. And this webinar was so, like, it's a coincidence that we chose this topic, but it so much aligns to the, to the upcoming tour that we are having shortly. And so I'm really happy to share this. And I'm really thrilled to hear all of you today who spoke so well and so beautifully explained the SDGs and the role. And I think in next 20 years, if we as educators work persistently towards this goal by giving our children the right values, the right set of, values and morals, definitely we are going to do very well. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.